Good evening, Australia. I'm Michael Kazilny. Tough times never last, but tough people do. And we've certainly gone through some difficult issues all around the world, but things are getting much better, aren't they? We've had some inspirational guests on the couch. A lovely young man tonight. His name is Ryan Magic. He's one of the world's finest life coaches, and he's done so many things. A male stripper for a short time. He's travelled the world. He's met Anthony Robbins, and he says courage is very important. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Thanks for having me on, Mike.
Mate, you look like a superstar.
Thank you.
And you just got back from overseas?
Yeah, just had a little trip. Got away from all the COVID stuff here for a while, and it was very refreshing.
A great inspiration. You look great. You're intelligent. You've got a great attitude, and you're only 29.
Yeah, good memory. Good memory.
But and then at 19, you started your first very successful business. Another one at 22. Another one at 26. Just briefly tell the viewers about that.
Yeah, sure. So when I was younger, I was like very much led by performance. My dad gave me a lot of. He just loved me when I performed, and so he wanted me to achieve at the highest level all the time. And I think that was a good thing, but it was also a lot of pressure. And so I formed this identity of like, I need to be successful. So business seemed like a very logical way to do that. Got into website design, cold calling to sell tradies websites.
Where did you grow up, Ryan?
Dingley Village, southeastern
Oh
suburbs.
yes, we were saying that before. The Dingley Fitness Centre,
Used to
aerobics place.
Yeah, do that.
Look, everyone's doing their best in life, but mum and dad, you say, was a dysfunctional family. Both parents were suicidal.
Very dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot of like sadness
Was
for
there
that.
was there drugs and alcohol in the family unit?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of coping strategies, and I think this time more than ever, like when we've got COVID going on, anyone that's got mental health issues or problems, we always use strategies to try to plug that stuff. There's emotion or pain underneath. We use strategies to plug that. So when I look at my parents, back then it was just I was confused. As I got older, I was angry, and now I look back and I'm like, I feel a lot of compassion and sadness.
So there was a time when
there's a lot of pain underneath.
when you disowned your parents, and then you sort of made peace. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a time they disowned me too.
Wow.
It was a very rocky
And
relationship.
so while the other kids were sort of having fun at school, you were the lonely child. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like I got bullied at certain times. I felt very different. I was kind of like at home in a house where there was a lot of just yelling 24/7, and then I'd rock up at school, and I went to a private school where everyone seemed to be happy, and I felt very insecure inside, very shy.
And Dad, what was he doing at the time?
He was just struggling with life. Like,
Because you say, like, you know, one would think, folks, if your dad's very successful, he wants his son to be successful, but he was struggling, but he wanted you to be successful.
he did. He very much cared. He looked at his life, and then he looked at the opportunity for me to have a different life, and did his best to encourage that. He's got a very beautiful personality as well. He really cares underneath.
To simplify and clarify, what was the business at 19? What was the business at 22? And what was the business at 26?
So it was more what I like had in my bio was financial milestones at those ages. But at 21, between 18, 19 and 21, I ran a bunch of different online businesses. I had a digital agency, was my main one, my bread and butter. So selling websites essentially. Then I started a life coaching business, a business that life coached and business coached life coaches. So it was way
big
up
business,
in the
wasn't it? It was a big business.
It was a solidly profitable
How
small
many
medium.
people were involved in that?
We had 25 staff.
25 staff. And where were you, in the city or something?
Yeah, South Bank.
Amazing. And what happened?
It grew and it grew and it grew, and was doing really well financially. And I just kept hitting a plateau when it came to HR. So I'd have build the team to 25 people, and then I'd lose a bunch of the team members. It'd go down to 12, then go up to 19, down to 15, up to 23. And I just kept hitting this wall, and I didn't understand why. And I really believe it was life trying to give me feedback that I wasn't ready in terms of my own capacity as a human being to hold space for some massive vision.
Isn't that amazing? That's so important, viewers, isn't it? If we're not prepared for that big success or that big thing, we're always going to fail, isn't it? We see that with all the Tats lottery winners around the world. If they win $1 million or $10 million, they spend it easily because they're not prepared for the money. But tell me this is very important. You had Dad, you had a turbulent life. And you must have had a decision to stop those negative thoughts and to really concentrate on winning outcomes. What decision did that little voice in your head tell you?
There's like two parts to this, because initially I was told by my parents who I needed to be so that they loved me. And all parents do this. We form our personality based off what our parents say. Yeah, this is good. Keep getting good school reports. Then they have friends over, someone speaks up too much and they're like, hey, we've got guests over, keep it down. And that forms people's personalities. People are like, okay, cool. If I'm smart and I follow the rules and I like get good grades and I get a good job, then my parents will love me. If I don't, they won't. Or if I express myself too much, they won't love me. And so based on parents, people's personalities are formed differently.
So you then took a decision
To achieve.
to break away from that.
Well, I got told achievement's good.
Yep.
And even though it was a dysfunctional household, my dad was like,
All right.
let's break out of
So
this.
then when you achieved, did your dad say, good on you, Ryan, well done? And did he then, was he happy?
Kind of, like, yeah, he was. But his personality from his dad was always like more.
But you didn't feel that was right. But after the break, we might talk about that turning point
important,
when you
yeah.
thought you weren't following your authentic life. We'll be back very shortly. Thank you very much for watching. And I know there are a lot of people going through difficult issues, people going through relationship breakups, people not being able to, maybe children problems. Your children might be on drugs, they might be sick in hospital. I've been a criminal defense lawyer for many years now. Actually, in fact, I've been around the criminal justice system for about 30 years. My first job was a police officer in the 80s when I was very young. And if you look out the window there, this is where I worked. Good old St Kilda, Luna Park, the beautiful bay. And I decided to have an office here. And then after 10 years in the policing, I became a criminal defense lawyer. But what I've found is that during those years, people come to me, they've been raped, they've been bullied, they've been beaten, they've lost their businesses. And what I've found with people, it's how well we get on top of crisis, because if we fall into the pit of depression, we end up like millions around the world who are on antidepressants. And we've got to follow our own path. Don't we, our own path in life?
The big thing that you like, this idea of tough times create tough people, like need tough people. I feel like the first step is taking the pressure off ourselves.
Yes.
Because we've got so much
going on.
intensity. Yeah. And in the world, the expectations in this world are so high. So for me, when I was succeeding in business, that was great. Yeah, I got on top of everything, but I felt emotionally broke, even though I was financially rich.
How did you find in that rich lifestyle, how did you find time to be a male stripper?
That was way back. I did one strip show as a fear challenge.
Was it
and
fun?
It was the most liberating thing that I've ever done in my entire life.
Where was it?
Because I was terrified of socializing, and that was like my transcendence of that.
Can you remember which pub it was at?
It was actually in the country. I literally was like going out practicing talking to people to build confidence. And these people were like, what do you do? And I just made up that I was a stripper. And they're like, you should do my friend's 30th. And at that time, I was literally doing everything I was afraid to do to try to build more character. And I was like, all right. And I drove 2 hours away to do this show. It's crazy.
And then Ryan, after the business, there was something, someone had dishonest staff members, wasn't it?
I had the business collapse. Someone stole a bunch of money and there was a bunch of things that went down. It ended up ending in failure. And that was a feedback mechanism for me to steer in the direction of fulfillment over success. I was always prioritizing this. I need to look good externally, even though internally I was feeling like crap. And that was a massive shift in my life at that point.
A lot of people go through that, don't they, folks? A lot of people are always thinking, try and impress everybody. At the end of the day, it's not the richest person in the graveyard. And Oprah says she just follows her intuition and lives with uncertainty every single day.
It's like you, Michael. Like, people care more about how you make them feel, and the way that you made me feel when I got in here. You've got a beautiful, open heart.
Oh, you're beautiful. The best is yet to come.
Yeah, but I don't care about your previous achievements.
No.
In terms of how I view you, I just care about your beautiful nature.
It's gorgeous.
And your kindness.
Yeah. Well, kindness is so important, isn't it?
100%.
And that's what you do. You're in the business of making people feel great, and in the business of loving kindness.
I'm in the business of fulfillment, and for me to feel the most fulfilled that I can be, being nice just reciprocates. It comes back.
Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? And I know the people who watch the show are all beautiful, authentic and kind. But have you noticed over the last couple of years, there's a lot of tense faces. There's a lot of anger, you know. It's almost like the personality is gone, you know. And can you imagine if for the next 21 days, we smile, we forget self, and we really show loving kindness towards the people in our lives and even strangers, you know. I go to court. Well, started going back to court, and I try to, everywhere I walk, I try to make that place, people feel better than they were before I passed. Because you can imagine people, domestic violence, they all, you know, they've got black eyes and they're all depressed. If we cheer them up a bit.
The main thing is that hurt people hurt others. And so the moment you walk around the street, people are narky and they're feeling pain, they're feeling pressure, and that gets projected out.
That is so true, brother. That's exactly right. So you can only give out what's inside. So, and I find this is why so many relationships are breaking up. You know, if there's nothing inside, there's fear, insecurity, and all of a sudden people think it must be someone else. It must be Ryan. It must be Michael. It must be the boss. And then they go through all these relationships. But once people realise,
I think they're scared that people. I think they're scared that people aren't going to like them. They're feeling embarrassed that they might lose their job. They're feeling insecure and like unhealthy, and that's just getting projected out. So that's why I think the answer to all of this is self-compassion. Gone through this time, it's the hardest time that anyone in this era has gone through in the world, in the Western world. And I feel like people just need to go easy on themselves. So if you're watching this, like take a load off, give yourself permission to be in the crap and feel like crap, because most people are, and that's okay.
Oh, you're so right. You know, like the last 10 years, it's been all about be positive, be happy, and that's a lot of bullshit, you know, because you might have a death in the family, you might go bankrupt, or, you know, because we're all perfectly imperfect, you know.
Exactly.
And when you're broken, you know, you can't run around and just, I'm great, I'm fantastic. That's absolute bullshit, you know. So sometimes we just have to, whatever we're going through, just go through it, don't we? We just have to go through it until it gets better again.
Exactly. Trust that it's going to improve, and trust that if it didn't improve, that you could hold yourself through that and still love yourself no matter what happens in your career. If you lose your job, you're still perfect. It's like, it's going to
Thank you so much for sharing. And after the next break, let's talk about how you got through those difficult times, what you're doing now, and how we can be happy even if we're unemployed, divorced, or, you know, or suffering from a medical condition. But we'll be back very shortly. Welcome back. I'm here with a great man, Ryan Magic, and it is magic speaking to him. Some people, you know, have got good vibes, others got bad vibes, you know, and there's the givers and the takers in life. But you know, a lot of people think once this, they go, oh, it's been difficult. Everyone thinks once COVID is over, everyone's going to be happy and jumping around, and, you know, all this will be over. But guess what? There'll still be problems. People will still die. People will still get divorced. People will still get bullied. People will still suffer from depression. And it happened now. It happened 100 years ago, you know. In Buddhism, they say there's 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. So it's always going to be the same. A lot of people think, you know, people forget. Things have just been a little bit tougher, Ryan, you know. How have you dealt with this? I mean, how do you keep yourself content or positive?
Yeah, very specifically, tribe, people, community. And it was so funny because we were locked down. Well, it's not funny at all, but we were locked down so hardcore here. I left the country. I had to get an exemption to leave. Went straight to Austin, Texas, where there was no lockdowns. I was around people 24/7. I went from feeling depressed to feeling happiest I could ever be.
And a lot of people during this time really had to do some soul searching, and they've been with the wrong tribe.
It's just that reflection of the energy that where everyone's just feeling the pressure and the stress. And so when we're feeling a little bit of like tension in ourselves, we want to avoid people, even though people are the very ticket to us feeling good. And so the key to create that connection is vulnerability.
Bro, that's amazing how you did that. You found out where there's a place where you feel comfortable in, and then you made the decision to take off, and you thought, I'm not interested in all this sort of stuff, because you don't like to be controlled. And then how long did you spend there for?
3 months there, 3 months in Costa Rica, and then
Costa Rica?
back here. Costa Rica.
No shoes?
No shoes.
Oh, I love
no
it,
shoes,
bro.
no shirt.
Pina coladas?
No.
Street parades?
No.
What was
just
that?
nature. It's just beautiful, pristine nature.
And no sort of different to like no sort of
Very different. There's everywhere's dirt roads. You need to have a 4-wheel drive car because you can't get up hills. It's a crazy experience. Yeah.
And coming back here, do you feel like jumping on the plane, going back?
No, I feel like this is.
You're ready.
Sorry?
You're ready for.
Yeah. There's beautiful people everywhere here. Like, think about the experience today. We've got beautiful people behind the cameras. Like, this is what life's about: connection with people.
So you just needed that break to reflect, and then come back and bang. What are the plans for the Great Man over the next 12 months?
To be honest with you, I'm in a bit of a. I'm not sure. I don't know where I'm going next, but what I do know is that like I'm loving connecting with people.
Wow.
And that's like, it seems like a small deal, but it's not, because my whole life I felt insecure and kind of sheltered myself from people and played the lone wolf game. And so only literally over the last year or so that I've actually given myself permission to be supported by other people.
Absolutely beautiful. And that's right, folks, isn't it? If we sort of, like children, they have no goals and they're happy, and then we become these sophisticated, hardened souls, That's true. We've got to have these goals, People always ask me, what's your, 12-month, 5-year, 10-year goal? I say, I've got no goals, I these days I see myself as an instrument of the universe, an instrument of service, an instrument of God, and I love living with uncertainty. And I think when we live with uncertainty and have goals, but then it brings a lot more adventure and excitement to the journey.
Yeah.
Because if we want to, follow these goals and then they don't work out, then we become frustrated.
It takes a lot of courage and capacity in someone's character to be able to sit in that unknown, because we feel safe with control.
Yes.
As human beings. If we're not in control, then we start to feel really unsafe. That's how we've been trained. Like, that's our biology and neurology has been set up that way, so that we can stay in the familiar because we used to live in the wild, and what was familiar was safe, unfamiliar was dangerous. So control is safe, outside control is unsafe. And that creates a block between people. So like my message to the people that are listening today would be, give yourself permission to be in the messy imperfection of who you are.
I love it, because we're all unfinished products, aren't we?
100%.
We're all masterpieces in creation, We're all a bit broken, we're all a bit fucked up, aren't we?
100%.
Some people think they're perfect, but they're
They try to pretend to others, but then they don't feel that way. No one.
Right, there's a lot of people watching who, their friends go, "Oh, are you okay?" and see the psychologist, see the counsellor, and all this sort of stuff, but they don't want to. They're suffering, and a lot of people, want to sort of have an early departure by contemplating taking their lives, and suicide rates have skyrocketed, and even the helplines for children under 15. So, what's your advice to people who just think life's not worthwhile living anymore?
It's very hard in those times because someone's got a level of self-hate and disgust that they don't think it's worth living there. So if you shift it to realize that there's a ton of people feeling exactly how you're feeling, and make it your mission to support one other person to feel better than you're feeling right now, and that's your whole life's mission, save someone else from taking their life. It's going to be so much easier to do it that way.
That's some great advice, folks, isn't it? It's like that song, What About Me, Moving Pictures, back from 1987. All about me, my relations, my money, my this. If we just wake up in the morning and forget self and live simply and find out about the other person, smile at other people, turn that spotlight on them, and it's amazing. That's what you were saying. If we forget about our own problems, or even go to the children's hospital and see all those young kids dying there, and sometimes we turn our problems into mental monsters, don't we?
Yeah. Thank you for having me on. The main thing that I wanted to say to end this is that this is all about being a tough person, this show, right? To get through tough times. The strongest thing that you could possibly do is have the courage to show up vulnerably around the people that you care about. Because as soon as you do that, you realize that the exact same thing's going on for them. You give them permission to open up, and then you have the connection that's going to allow for you to feel awesome in who you are, and that'll cascade out to the rest of the population. So give yourself permission to have that support.
Thank you very much. Give yourself permission to have a beautiful weekend. And viewers, give yourself permission to have a super fantastic weekend. Love and best wishes. We'll see you next week. Good night.